Literacy Cooperative is a nonprofit that really looks to how do we help advance literacy in the community. We have a wonderful board of directors, and one of our board of directors is Judge Michael Ryan.
I am, as Bob was saying, one of the members of the board of directors for the Literacy Cooperative. Now, I'm only a part of two community organizations for the moment, and I usually pick and choose which ones I want to be a part of because I want to make sure I don't stretch myself too thin. The Literacy Cooperative is one of the ones that I really enjoy being a part of, and in fact, I think I've been on it, was it 3 years now? Getting close. The years just go by because you become so involved, and you're really proud. Especially, I'm proud of the Spark program that we have, the STEP program that's here, and a number of the other initiatives that Literacy Cooperative has been involved in. But I just want to give you a brief story about who I am and why I find that education is so imperative. I grew up in the city of Cleveland. My mom was really young when she had me. She had just turned 15, so she got pregnant when she was 14 with me. I didn't meet my dad till I was like 22 because he was incarcerated. And my stepfather was, a person who stepped in even before I was born and took me into his family. And try to make a long story short, he was really abusive physically. And then my mom and my dad, my stepdad, were both addicted to drugs. I didn't live too far from Marion Sterling when I lived in Longwood. And I'm very familiar with the area. I used to go up to Tri-C all the time. Over here at Case Court, over at Brick City. So, I'm from the neighborhood. I watched my mom die when I was 13. She died from her drug use. And I went to live with my grandmother. My grandmother wound up dying a year after my mother did, so I had to move from one aunt to the other aunt. And by the time I graduated from high school, and I wound up graduating from Heights, Heights was like my 11th in school. I had to count from kindergarten just to 10th grade. I went to Longwood Elementary. That tells you how old I am. I went to Tremont from when I was living in Longwood. Went to Tech. I went to Central. So when people ask me, where are you from? I'm from down the way, because that's where I grew up. But to me, despite all of the circumstances and the tumultuous times that I had, my education was always the one thing that I could hold on to. That was that one anchor for me, because I knew if I was able to really focus on my education, I'd be able to overcome, the challenges that I was facing. Because I could control everything that happened in school. I couldn't control what was going on outside of school. And so I put my entire heart into my education. I don't care how cold it was in the house, if we didn't have heat, there wasn't light. I was trying to find a light where I could read. We didn't have water or anything. I didn't care about not being able to bathe. My most important thing was, learning what the teachers were telling me, doing my homework, studying for my tests, so that I can go into class and really shine, because I was not shining when I was outside of school. And I say that to say, even though I didn't really have people who were there pushing me, just imagine if I did, and where I could be, today. I had that inner drive, but just imagine if I had somebody else pushing me on the outside, like my parents. And that's why I'm glad that you guys are here today, because your kids do have that inner drive, and they need somebody to confirm that passion for them. And so I ask you to do whatever it's necessary to provide that assistance for your kids, so that they can be what they really believe that they can be. If they have a dream of being a judge one day, then you need to be behind them and ensuring that they can actually make that dream into a reality. If they have a passion to be an artist, then it's your responsibility as a parent to provide the encouragement for them, but also provide the resources for them. There are resources out here for all the parents. You're getting a resource now with the Literacy Cooperative, through the Spark program, through the STEP program. Take advantage of those things so that your kids will be able to experience the things that I experienced, like going to college without having to pay a lot of money. going to law school. I had to pay a little money for that. But, I went to law school, and they still gave me 2 scholarships my last year, so that reduced the amount of money that I had to pay. Being able to pass the bar and become a lawyer at the age of 25. Just imagine that. Somebody who grew up in the neighborhood. People who knew me and knew my circumstances would have never thought that I'd be here today. But I'm here today because I hit those books. I'm here today because I listened to what my teachers were saying. I'm here today because I stayed out of trouble. And the parents are here to do that as well. You are here to direct the path for your son or your daughter, keeping all those distractions away from them. And I know there are a ton of them, more distractions today than there were when I was growing up. But as a parent, you got a responsibility to move all that stuff out the way. And I don't talk from a position of not knowing, because I have 2 kids myself. My daughter is a junior in college, same college I went to. My son is a freshman, and he's at St. Edward's High School. He would not have been able to be accepted at St. Edward's High School if I had not maintained with him, or actually maintained a schedule with him, and then indicated to him how important his education was. I'm pretty stern. I'm a stickler when it comes to him doing his homework, him asking questions when he's having difficulty doing anything. When I come home from work, I come and sit down with my son with my shirt and tie on, still with my shoes on, and I help him with his homework if he's having a difficult problem. Even if he's not having difficulty, I want to know what he's doing. I want to know. And if I have problems, I want him to explain to me what he's doing, so then I know he knows what he's doing. And he'll be aware of what he's responsible for when it's time for a test. So that means as a parent, we got to sacrifice. I'm doing the complete opposite of what my parents did for me. I'm making that sacrifice for my son, because I expect my son and my daughter to do better than me. There's a high ceiling for them, but I expect them to do better than me. My daughter said to me, she told my wife, why is he push her so hard? And I told my wife, will you tell her next time she says that is because I don't think that I'm being a good parent, I'm doing a good job if they just do level best. Mediocre to me is not acceptable. Okay? Some people may say, you are just a very strict father, you're a very strict parent. But I don't accept it, because I know that they're capable of doing better. But somebody needs to be there pushing them. And I don't punish my son or my daughter because they don't get good grades. But I push them to the point where they know that if they do their best, they will see the results. And then they'll be satisfied when they get the good grades. And when they're not getting the good grades, I don't even have to say a word. My daughter, and this just shows you, and it's not because I'm mean or real strict, but she didn't get the same grades this semester that she got last semester. Last semester, she had a 3.8 at her school. This next one, she had like maybe a 3.2. She was crying. She was crying. And I was actually elated, because I know how difficult this school is. But because she didn't reach that level that she knows that she's capable of doing, she says, I didn't meet my own expectations. And that's what you need to instill in your kids, is that they need to reach here. If they fall here, they're still fine. But if they reach that top level, have them go to that top level, because that makes a difference. It makes a difference in where they want to go to college. Because then, if they're up at this level, they get to choose where they go. They get to choose. And they don't have to be worried about some other place choosing them. They choose where they want to go. You're not paying for it. That should be the number one goal. Okay? Number two, you're going to be extremely proud of your children. When you go into all these award ceremonies, and they're the top kids. Okay? See, my parents, I was having the award ceremonies and they weren't there. It didn't make me feel worse or bad because they weren't there. But just imagine, you get to enjoy that. And I know I said I wasn't going to talk too long, but I just get so excited when we're talking about education for our children. And it means so much to me because I know if they're educated, I won't see them. And I don't mind reducing my docket at all. At all. So I know, and if you guys stay the course with these programs, you will help them succeed beyond your expectation, beyond their expectation, and beyond some expectations that some people in this community may have of them, just because of where they live. Don't think that, don't believe that. Know that anything is possible for them. I believe it. I want you to believe it. But guess what? It's your actions that really will ensure that your kids will be the top and not in the middle or in the bottom or at the bottom.